it is another Wednesday, and it is time to get together for our Wednesday rendezvous. I'm sure you know what I am talking about. News Extra. Yes, and it is a really extra package with the Federal Executive Council approving the ratification of African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement signed by Nigeria last year. The Council also has usual approved some infrastructure project earlier in the day. Earlier in the day again, the sun set in Kaduna on one of Nigeria's finest politicians and former governor of the state. We have quite a bit on Balarabe Musa. Of course, the National Assembly is on course to ensure the January to December budget cycle is not compromised as budget defense by ministries and agencies reach a crescendo. That is not all. There is a bit on politics, health, NSAS, post-COVID-19, survival, and a lot more. No dull moment on the show tonight. If you miss it, you miss out. So stay with me to find out for yourself. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. We begin with FEC. The Federal Executive Council has formally approved the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement signed by Nigeria in July last year. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, announced this while briefing journalists after the virtual meeting of the Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. And State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on this and other resolutions adopted towards enhancing safety and security, digital economy, healthcare delivery, and roads infrastructure.
It was a joyous moment of remarkable significance for African leaders at the 2019 African Union Summit in Niamey, Niger Republic, as President Muhammadu Buhari formally enlisted Nigeria, Africa's most populous country and largest economy, into the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And with the formal ratification of the agreement by the Federal Executive Council, a major breakthrough may have been achieved by the African Union, which sees Nigeria as not only critical but indispensable if the objectives of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement are to be realized.
The effective date ought to have been July 2020, but as a result of the pandemic, it was postponed to the 1st of January 2021, and all member states were given up to the 5th of December to ratify the agreement. That's precisely what Nigeria did today. So effectively, we hope that by 1st of January 2021, the agreement will come into force.
When fully operational, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement will be the world's largest free trade area with a potential market of 1.2 billion people and a gross domestic product of $2.5 trillion across member states of the African Union. Information Minister Lai Mohammed also announced the Council's approval of a contract for the procurement, installation, and commissioning of 3D dimensional aerodrome, as well as approach simulator at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos.
The contract became necessary in view of the increase in the number of personnel who have been recruited and trained for air traffic controllers. And it is important for us to ensure safety in all the 32 aerodromes of the country.
470 million naira is to be expended on the project to be delivered in 6 months. And on roads infrastructure, 62.7 billion naira has been approved by the Council for the construction of Kano, Dawakin Tofa, Gwarzo, Dai Road in Kano State to be executed in 24 months. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In another development, a National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center is to be established in Abuja, the nation's capital, as part of efforts by the federal government towards enhancing job creation. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, announced this at a news briefing after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adam Sambo again has the details.
The meeting, 32nd in the series for the year 2020 and 23rd to be held virtually in compliance with the COVID-19 safety advisory, deliberated extensively on the rate of joblessness in the country and the way forward. Entrepreneurship development, the Council believes, is critical towards enhancing the creation of jobs, hence the approval of a memo on the establishment of Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center in Abuja in partnership with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Millions of our citizens are going to be trained as entrepreneurs, particularly in ICT, so that they will be future potential employers rather than potential employees. And this center is going to be managed by the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, while the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy is going to provide the policy for the center, policy direction, and to supervise the implementation of the policy.
The Federal Executive Council also approved a new national policy on digital identification for internally displaced persons in Nigeria.
This digital ID will support government in knowing the total number of our IDPs, budgetary provision on how to take care of them, national planning with regards to their education, health, and many more. When it comes to social intervention being provided by federal government through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, government will have an up-to-date record of IDPs, their number, their location, and everything, and government will reach out to them easily through that database that is going to be domiciled at the National Identity Management Commission.
It is estimated that 3 million people are internally displaced across Nigeria, with Borno State having the highest number of 1.4 million and Ondo State as the lowest with 1,024. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ihanere, also secured the Council's approval for the National Health Insurance Scheme to introduce electronic medical records and management called ENHIS governance platform.
So this will be a platform for managing payments and claims and also patient records to install transparency and accountability. This is necessary because the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, as we know, is going on stream and will include a large number of people being registered, so that we'll move away from paper management to electronic management.
Although cost of the project has not been made public at the briefing, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ihanere, explained that indigenous NICOMSAT and Galaxy Backbone have been contracted for its execution in view of the enormous local content benefits in job creation and data security. In the meantime, members of the council observed a moment of silence in honor of the late permanent secretary in the office of the SGF, Babatunde Lawal, who died recently. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
To budget defense reports now. Senate Committee on Nigerian Army says it is important for Nigerians to understand that the Army lost its equipment fighting insurgents and other criminals, which must be replaced if the country is to remain secure. Chairman of the committee, Alin Dume, who said this at the 2021 budget defense of the Nigerian Army, said he is fully convinced of this after the committee's oversight to Army formations in some parts of the country. John Nyaku has the details.
Citing insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, farmers-herders clashes, IPOB and other criminalities in the country, the chairman says the Nigerian Army has lost some of its equipment fighting on different fronts. Despite the fact that this equipment have to be replaced, he insists that the Nigerian Army must convince the committee on its expenditures in 2020 and what it intends to do in 2021 budget. After a closed-door meeting with the delegation from the Chief of the Army Staff, the chairman stressed the need to increase the budget of the Nigerian Army, given the security challenges in the country.
We are advocating that they should be front-loaded. That is to say, if you are giving budget, if you sign the budget, you give the money to them so that they can start their procurement process, because unlike others, that local procurement that you can buy here, buy there, Nigerian Army requirements have to be processed.
Meanwhile, Senate Committee on Nigerian Air Force has adopted the budget proposal for Air Force with a promise to constructively engage the leadership on the possibility of an upward review of budgetary allocation for training. Chairman of the committee, Bala Ibn Na'ala, announced the resolution when the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Awakar, appeared before the committee to defend 2021 budget.
In terms of ensuring that we bring security closer to the people, we have established a number of bases. These bases includes our base in Birnin Gwari.
If there is any comment and if there is no comment, I ask for motion for the adoption of the contents of the budget as read, and then we can proceed from there.
In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
The directive by President Muhammadu Buhari that ministers appear in person to defend their 2021 budget is paying off at the ongoing budget scrutiny of the National Assembly. The usual practice of delegated authority at budget defense session is almost non-existent. The Ministers of Labour and Employment and that of Women Affairs were also in person to provide justification for their 2021 financial proposals. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
It's been a roll call of ministers in the past 2 weeks at the National Assembly. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, in company of the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, appeared before the Senate Committee on Labour and Employment to defend the ministry's 49.4 billion naira 2021 budget, with 17.1 billion allocated to the National Directorate of Employment.
Any member that comes to council must indicate the quantum of jobs that contract will create. Any memo that has foreign content, that company must tell us what they're going to do in furtherance of presidential order 3 and 5 on local content.
The Director General of the National Directorate of Employment, Mohammed Ladan Argungu, explained to the Senate Committee that out of the 52 billion naira approved by the National Assembly this year for the Special Public Works, 26 billion has been released.
But because of the situation in terms of security of this country, that's the reason why we look for an extension to start this program on the 1st of December. But in terms of our level of preparation, we are over 90% ready.
And we didn't want them to start with Northeast, so that North Central will be crying that where is our own. So we want them to gather all the items in one place and start distributing it. And I will communicate to you very soon.
The principal of the Petroleum Training Institute, Henry Ademola, and the Director General of the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, Yao Idris, defended their 2021 budgets before the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream. The Senate Committee on Women Affairs has scrutinized the 1.7 billion naira 2021 budget of the Ministry of Women Affairs, with emphasis on more women empowerment programs, especially for 2021.
I would also want the Honorable House to lend their voice and see that a reasonable amount is appropriated so that we can have all our skill acquisition centers in the 6 geopolitical zones properly, fully renovated and put to use.
We know that what is budgeted for the ministry can't really do much. So that, like last year, we tried as much as we could to make sure we have an increased budget. We'll continue to push for it.
The budget defense by the National Center for Women Development was rescheduled to a later date. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, the power of appropriation lies with the legislature, and it is not just about numbers, which is why it periodically, I'm tongue-tied, demands for financial records to enable it see in black and white the justification for budget estimates. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on activities in the meeting rooms of the Green Chamber.
Committees of the House of Representatives continued with the current legislative business as they tackle MDAs on budget performance and projections. The House Committee on Financial Crimes at a session with the EFCC sought to know why additional staff were not employed by the Commission as approved in its 2020 proposal.
We are in the process of doing the employment before the COVID-19 set in, and therefore everything had to be suspended. So that is why we have a balance of up to 4 billion or thereabout.
If you have a budget in capital and it has not been released, the committee will see to it that money is released. So please, next time, point out such things to the committee.
The North-East Development Commission is among the newly established, making a first-time appearance for budget defense before the House Committee on NEDC.
The Commission needs to have a meeting with the members as to what their requirements and needs are and what they will want to include in the budget before going to the budget office.
We are set to start. Like in January this year, we are set to start. We are full this and this. In February, as we're just about to blow the whistle, the red flag of COVID-19 came in and distracted almost everything. And so all attention went to COVID and COVID and COVID.
The Commission solicited for more support to discharge its mandates of rebuilding the insurgency-ravaged Northeast. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And we'll head to Lagos now. AIG Zone 2 Ahmed Ilyasu has directed officers of the Nigeria Police Force under his command to go back to their respective formations and divisions to rebuild the needed public trust and partnership with their community. He gave the directive in Lagos at a motivational workshop on community policing aimed at boosting morale of officers and enhanced service delivery. Len Leneke reports.
Community engagement in policing and create the much-needed environment devoid of crime and security challenges. Critical stakeholders have been advised to partner the police in providing effective and quality service. This is to enable the economy and businesses to blossom. The AIG Zone 2, Ahmed Ilyasu, charged police officers to put the people at the center of policing.
Our policing strategy should be people-centric, satisfactory to the people and good enough to remove fear and uncertainty in the mind of the people. Anytime they have contact with the police must be available and respond to call or request for assistance regardless of status or background.
Guest speaker and security expert Dr. Ona Aihomo, in his analysis of internal security in Lagos and some parts of the country, noted that the police must regain public trust for normalcy to return.
The way the police stations are built, the armories are more or less not defended, and then there was no effective call for service. These are structural problems.
To engender public support and diffuse tension in the quality of policing, ethical values, standards, and strategies in line with the new police reforms must be adopted. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
The concerns about unemployment as a social issue are all over the world, affecting even the developed nations and the strong economies. That means solutions are welcomed by all, particularly the youth. And it is on this premise that Usman Aliyu engaged one Kebbi State-born Munir Umar, who didn't wait for the disappointment associated with dreaming about employment, but instead is providing others opportunities to earn a living. Let's hear it all from Usman.
Under the sun, under the mercy of all elements like the heat coming in this rudimentary process of extracting groundnut cooking oil, these young people prove their agility, at least better than being idle and unskilled to produce. It is indeed even better the hard way like this than those young persons enchanted by luxuries of city life, making them middlemen on the street to meet up the immediate demands of the urban needs. This young man, Umar, took a firm decision, a decision that changes his life, and not only him, but that of many who earn their livelihood through his initiative. Simply put, he is a very successful agro-allied entrepreneur.
When I graduated from university in 2004, I did my youth service, and when I'm done with my youth service, I started searching for jobs, which I couldn't find any. But then I got determined that I need to make ends meet. I got married and I decided to find something to support myself and my family. So that was how I got the idea, oh, okay, I don't have capital, I don't have a job, I can start something small, and I decided to start agric business.
Manir's story provides an illustration that decisions, not all decisions, but good ones, change destiny for the good.
I undergo training on poultry farming, goat fattening, aquaculture, and general farm management.
And it did not stop here for Manir. He has ambitions.
Gradually, we kept on expanding until we got to where we are. And we also have a hatchery. We hatch our own birds.
The lessons in Manir's story are numerous, but one thing is certain. Nigerian youth account for more than half of the population, a capacity to make it a different nation, entirely full of hopes, one that can be resourceful, peaceful, and attractive. After all, the resources are all over to tap, and the market is ready and vibrant. Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Usman, for that. We sure need more of Manir Musa. Good job there. Governor of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, promises to assist NTA Calabar to enable the station come back on air in less than 6 weeks. The governor, who disclosed this during a visit by the Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, supported the return of NTA Calabar with 10 million naira. Paul Abel completes the story.
The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, commiserated with the governor and people of Cross River State over the wanton destruction of public and private property perpetrated by suspected hoodlums. While extolling the efforts of the governor to transform the economic fortunes of the state, the DG emphasized that the incident, which is a temporary setback, will serve as a catalyst for the governor to do more for the people.
Your Excellency, NTA Calabar, like other NTA stations, might be federal government owned, but NTA Calabar is located in the Cross River State capital essentially to serve the government and people of Cross River State. To that extent, it is the property of the government and people of Cross River State. Your Excellency, I call on you, your government, and the good people of Cross River State to take possession of what is rightly yours.
On his part, the governor commended NTA for exhibiting professionalism and appealed for adequate space on its network service to highlight successes of the state in agriculture diversification, industrialization, and making the place safe and peaceful.
The people of Cross River State will work with your team on ground after putting this money on to ensure that NTA beams past in the next 6 weeks. Everybody is going to be in Calabar. I've not talked about the carnival. I've been very quiet on the carnival because we're yet to take a decision on that. But Christmas, we have enough activities to keep us excited. We can't afford to have a Christmas in Calabar without NTA.
NTA Calabar was vandalized on the 24th of October 2020 when suspected hoodlums under the guise of the NSAS protests unleashed mayhem on the facility. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Nigeria's recent experience with the NSAS protest and subsequent hijack by hoodlums to perpetrate mayhem and destruction of national assets, private investment, as well as attacks on police personnel and stations is still generating concerns in many quarters. Usman Akwango reports that guests on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live who discussed the cost of the protest to the economy lamented and proffered solutions to mitigate the huge losses suffered.
It is established that the attacks on public and private assets and infrastructure, including massive looting of investment in the wake of what was designed to be a peaceful protest against the disbanded SARS, has cost the country a lot, and measures need to be taken to address the immediate and long-term impact.
We are talking of trillions in terms of cost to this economy. And now I think what we need to do, because I think one of the things we should do is focus on the road to recovery. What is to be done now?
Implementing a lot of those plans, that were there already in the economic sustainability plan of 2.3 trillion, which government said they were going to spend in order to reduce the impact of COVID on the economy.
Discussants on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live suggested proactive strategies that will involve the youth in productive ventures, just as they want the empowerment of security agencies and community engagement to rebuild confidence in governance.
75 billion, this is how you're going to assess this billion. If you're having issues, you must create maybe an online platform where if a youth in Damaturu is having an issue right now, he can talk to the Minister of Youth.
We have a lot of challenges, and if we must ensure that policing is robust, that the police will effectively patrol Nigerian space in terms of combating crime, like what we do in other countries.
The losses, which are put at more than 2 trillion naira, they noted, have not only stripped many employed youth of their jobs and working capital, but also affected the growth of businesses and inflow of revenues to meeting contemporary needs.
We shouldn't really see this as a very terrible thing. We can come back to the drawing table, to the negotiating table, to the mediating table, and talk to ourselves. What is wrong in involving a national discussion?
A comprehensive youth data bank, promotion of human rights, regulation of social media platforms, and the injection of funds into the economy, the proposed should be the priorities of government at all levels. In Abuja, Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The pen is mightier than the sword, and the pen was professionally used in the Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Ahmed Muazu is the acting INEC chairman, and this is his observation of the media as the commission interfaces with chiefs of the pen fraternity. Meogidi reports.
This is where opinions are shaped, and for the electronic media, visuals available to back up. He who tells the story gets more facts and feedback. Those in control of the tiny pen fed millions during the Edo and Ondo governorship elections, and today having talks with INEC to advise for better performance.
The Edo and Ondo elections, the Commission must place on record, among other things, the tireless and sustained campaign by the media against electoral violence. The media not only kept the imperative of peaceful elections in the front burner, it also kept the spotlight on all political parties and their candidates throughout these elections.
INEC must at all times ensure that the votes of the people continue to count during elections. For us in the media, we will always give the necessary support.
Observations on the online portal and possible date for the conduct of outstanding 15 by-elections were part of the content of the agenda. Please, let's always be aware of fake news, because the pen, when wrongly used, can be more destructive than the gun, the INEC National Commissioners advised. Mayor Okidi, NT News.
Up Ahead on NewsExtra, eulogies trail the exit of a distinguished elder statesman and a hero of democracy, the first civilian governor of Kaduna State, as he bows out of the stage. Please stay. Good to have you back. Body of former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Abdul Qadir Balarabe Musa, who died Wednesday morning, has been buried according to Islamic injunction after the funeral prayer at Sultan Bello Mosque, Kaduna. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
It was a sorrowful moment here as body of the former governor of Kaduna State, Abdul Qadir Balarabe Musa, arrived at Sultan Bello Mosque for the funeral prayers. A renowned Islamic scholar, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, led the congregation, including some former governors of the state, in the prayer.
We are going to seriously miss him, especially in the political cycle, where he demonstrated that politics is about people and leadership is about people. May Allah accept him and grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus.
Sympathizers, including the Kaduna State Governor, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, described late Balarabe Musa as a great and fearless leader who fought for the masses and meant well for Nigeria.
We have lost someone who has been quite dedicated to the cause of the people, the masses generally.
The deceased left behind 10 children and a wife. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
Like we've seen and heard, the death has occurred of the former governor of defunct Kaduna State, Malam Abdul Qadir Balarabe Musa. He died Wednesday morning at his residence in Kaduna after a protracted illness. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachku reports on the life and times of the elder statesman, a politician with a distinct and clear-cut ideology, tilted to the left.
Protect political parties and political associations from the machinations of the government in power at every level and the electoral management body at national and state levels.
A farmer and an administrator, late Balarabe Musa's sojourn in politics started during the First Republic, where he pitched tent with the defunct Northern Elements Progressive Union, NEPU, as a strong and vibrant member. His posture and struggle against what he considered as infidel and for the emancipation of the Talakawas from northern oligarchy endeared him to the people.
He's a very nice man, very honest, straightforward. I know we are going to miss him a lot.
Balarabe Musa became the first civilian governor of old Kaduna State on the platform of the defunct People's Redemption Party, PRP, in 1979, and the first civilian governor to be impeached by the state legislature, controlled by opposition National Party of Nigeria, MPN, in 1981. Led Balarabe Musa, synonymous with struggle for justice and fairness, later parted ways with his political mentor, the late Malam Aminu Kanu, which led to the formation of Sans-E faction of the PRP. He was a chartered accountant and company secretary of the defunct Broadcasting Company of Northern Nigeria. Led Balarabe Musa was in the forefront in the struggle for the actualization of annulled June 12 presidential election. Before his death, he was chairman, Board of Trustees, People's Redemption Party. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachku, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has joined the government and people of Kaduna State in mourning a former civilian governor of the state, Alhaji Balarabe Musa, who will be surely missed by all Nigerians who have diligently followed his antecedents as a voice for the voiceless. A statement by the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, says President Buhari believes Alhaji Musa reflected the passion and vigor that heralded Nigeria's independence, which steadily translated into activism for return to democracy at the height of military interregnum, and has remained steadfast in the call for good and inclusive governance. As the former governor goes home, the president affirms that he left a bold footprint on Nigeria's democracy, and his role in promoting good governance and development will always be remembered and appreciated by posterity. Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has condoled with the family of former Kaduna State Governor Alhaji Balarabe Musa over his death. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Senator Lawan also commiserated with the government and people of the state over the incident, describing late Balarabe Musa as a principled political leader who throughout his life consistently championed the cause of the masses. The People's Democratic Party has also expressed its sadness over the death of elder statesman, outstanding Democrat and former governor of Old Kaduna State, Alhaji Balarabe Musa. A statement from the party's National Publicity Secretary describes Alhaji Balarabe Musa's death as a huge national loss, given his steadfastness, patriotic contributions and zeal in fighting for the unity, stability and development of the nation. And to talk more on the late Balarabe Musa, a fantastic man, is here with me, the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Mr. Osita Okechukwu. It's good to have you on NewsExtra tonight.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome once again. Well, it's a sad day for the people of Kaduna, literally to Nigerians at large. So how would you describe the late Balarabe Musa?
I'm still in grief. For a nationalist par excellence, a socialist par excellence, a revolutionary par excellence, a man of the people, Memutane, masses advocate, who round the clock breathes about what is good for Nigerians. Nationalists that he had no boundary. Because you became a president because you're an outsider of Fulani man, he will respect you if you don't toe the masses line. When we called him back to join us in the merger to the APC, he said unless the party won, he's going to answer the name PRP. Secondly, Osita, I understand you are a member of the manifesto committee. I said yes. Say, can I see the draft? He said the draft is not people-oriented. And he will remain consistent as the leader of the PRP until he dies. I first met him in 1978. They were coming to meet the late Dr. Zikiwe at Nsukka. I waited for them at the OP junction. Because initially we thought they were coming by aircraft. The leader told us no, that they're coming on road.
I know you have a lot to say about him. We've seen, we've heard, he's a principled man. He's a good man with a fantastic character. So what are his legacies, for our democracy today?
The most important legacy he has, he believed in his own conviction.
Okay.
He believed, a lot of people do not believe in their own conviction. So by believing his conviction, he stood on whatever is good for the masses. And what is justice? Okay. At a certain point, I asked him, don't you find anything good in the 1999 Constitution? He said yes. Chapter 2, that talks on the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, that talks of the welfare of the people and the security of the people. And also goes ahead to say that the economy of the country should be managed in such a manner that the process of production and exchange is not rested on few. That is his belief. And he consistently argued until his death that there will be crisis unless the majority of Nigerians are happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming on NewsExtra. I know we're all grieving and all of that. We have a lot to say about him, but because of time,
we that are following him of 4 tribes will have to emulate him. He believed even if he died poor, please make sure that the country is better.
Okay, so thank you so much. A lot to learn from late Balarabe Musa. Thank you so much, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, DG Voice of Nigeria.
Thanks a lot for remembering our mentor.
Okay. A cry for help from Nigeria's senior citizens over entitlements and a tolerable life in the face of COVID-19. Don't go away. You're welcome back. The journey in 2020 witnessed many diversions, detours, and at a time, everything practically stood still. But life is a trip that must continue, and so is building a post-pandemic Nigeria. That is the focus of a multi-sectoral conference organized by the House of Representatives for Parliamentarians and Policymakers. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The conference seeks to provide a legislative mechanism to enable the country witness a rebound, especially in areas worst hit due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Participants at the conference engaged in providing a framework for a robust post-pandemic Nigeria.
It is an opportunity for us to greet ourselves and each other in presentation of the hard choices and difficult bargains that are the price of the nation building in a time of a global crisis.
Federal Minister of Health, and in fact, just last week we signed a memorandum of understanding to ensure that when the vaccines, wherever they come from, that have been established to be effective for COVID-19, we will not be left behind. We will be there to have our own share.
It was organized by the House Committee on Inter-Parliamentary Affairs and the Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19. Members of the National and State Assemblies and other stakeholders were in attendance. Lami Ali, NTA News.
Reopening after more than 7 months of being shut down. Imagine what an NYSC orientation camp in the face of COVID-19 would be or look like. To ascertain the level of compliance to COVID-19 protocols, Olenka Ojo in this report visited the FCT NYSC orientation camp in Buba, where the 3 weeks orientation course for the 2020 batch B, stream 1, for those posted to the FCT is ongoing. See what he brought back.
The last NYSC orientation camp ended abruptly, barely a week after it began, due to the COVID-19 pandemic in March. 8 months after, prospective corps members are reporting to various orientation camps across the country.
It's exciting. It's exciting, at least for a while. I've been waiting for this, and we're finally here.
48 hours earlier, the Directors General of NDDC and NYSC gave an insight into how the camp would be.
A compulsory screening test will be carried out for all corps members reporting to camps and all officials.
We have put in place essential measures in all orientation camps nationwide in line with the protocols for the safety of corps members and other members of the camp community. The measures are endorsed by the NCC.
The orientation camp in FCT is just doing exactly what the duo have said.
As at yesterday, we tested 180 corps members and 150 camp officials. Today, we've tested 100 so far.
Determine whether or not a corps member will register or go back for isolation and treatment.
The compulsory test was done at the gates, so sample collection results before you can commence with registration. So everything under 15 minutes. It was pretty fast.
Those who scaled through sample come to register here, where certificates are authenticated before moving to collect kits. Provisions for hand washing and sanitization are made. 2 meters distancing and bed spacing in the hostel are all factored. Rooms that formerly accommodate 40 persons now take only 10. Compulsory use of face masks on camp is also to be strictly enforced. This is a statue of an unknown corps member being masked. And if a statue like this can be masked, it means all corps members participating in this orientation course across the country must wear their face masks. 66,000 youth corps members will be participating in the 2020 Batch B orientation course across the country. Olenka Ojo, NTA News.
Pensioners are regarded as senior citizens, heroes past, in most cases for their meritorious services to their fatherland, but yet are not living the dream of their motto, rest is sweet after labor. Many are still hopeful of a better world only if their constitutional right to timely pension are no longer delayed or denied. This submission dominated the emergency meeting of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners. Emmanuel Ayemiro tells us more.
Labor, they say, creates wealth. But what is the morale when the goose that laid the golden eggs continues to beg for succor in a system it helped to build and nurture? This underscores appeal to the managers of the system.
We pensioners have served this nation meritoriously. Our labors should therefore of necessity not be in vain.
So far, the meeting revealed that every state is capable of either paying pension in small percentages or not paying gratuity at all, even in the face of COVID-19.
There is no state that is not owing. We cannot say that. Kano is trying. They are not owing pension, but they are owing gratuity. The same thing with the federal government. There is backlog of gratuity from 2006 and arrears of pension and benefits of deceased pensioners which are supposed to be paid to their next of kin.
It is the dream of every worker to retire someday in good health and reap the fruit of his or her labor. But a situation where the dream turns to a plight, the dreamer is left with no option than what the senior citizens have resorted. In addition to the clamor for the implementation of the 2019 minimum wage. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
You've said it all, Emmanuel. More than 5,000 women and youths drawn from 21 wards of Tudunwada Dogua Federal Constituency have been given the green light to be self-reliant under the empowerment scheme of the member and House leader, Al-Hassan Ado Dogua. Yohana Hassan Barrow reports.
That was the loud ovation that heralded the kind gesture of member representing Tudunwada Dogua Federal Constituency who has impacted on their lives positively. The joy of Aisha Aliyu and Hadiza Muhammad, like many others, knew no bound when they received one sewing machine each, which they said will go a long way in changing their economic fortune for better.
This is not his first time of doing something like this. We thank God. A good development. I will go and continue with my sewing business.
Other items distributed includes grinding machines, 4 trucks of rice, motorcycles, cars. This in addition to 43 million naira and bags of fertilizer for dry season farming.
Had several challenges across the year to do with the economic activities of our country and of our people. You remember we are still in the COVID-19 pandemic, and we feel this is the right time we should come back to our people and pay back to them what they have invested to us.
This is somebody who is reliable, who is defendable, who cares about his people.
Alhassan Ado Dogua has been trying his possible best. He has been representing this constituency, and not only this constituency, the state and the nation at large.
Dogua, who assured that the gesture will be a continuous one, said it is aimed at ensuring that the evidence of democracy gets to the people at the grassroots. In Kano, Yohana Hassan Barrow, NTA News.
And from Kano, we'll take you to Benin. Youths in Edo State have been engaging the state governor, Godwin Obaseki, in talks to see further ways of actualizing the Making Edo Great Again agenda. This was at the 2020 Youth Summit as part of events for this year's Alaudao Investment Summit and the inauguration ceremony of Governor Godwin Obaseki and the Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu for his second term in office. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
It was a hall full of participants at the 4th edition of the Alaudao Summit tagged Youth and Mega Agenda. Discussion by a team of panelists centered on how youth can transform passion to political power.
The government has recognized the power of youth. During this NSAS protest, it has shown to the world that the youth are ready to be engaged. and the government of Godwin Obaseki has recognized that.
We're in a moment in time where nobody can convince any young person in this room that they are the leaders of the future. We've gone past that.
Governor Obaseki says with youth, the state government is sure of solving challenges. He promised to ensure that governance is transparent and accountable.
There was a design for government that benefited everybody in the community and the society. We have to return to that if we are going to make Nigeria the country it should be.
Speaking on the aftermath of the NSAS protest, Deputy Governor Shaibu said a gap in leadership is one of the challenges that militated against achieving the desired results during the NSAS protests.
When you want grievances, you have the right to protest. But that protest, you must have leadership so that your demand, when it's time to listen to your demand, those leadership must come up for discussion.
While a book titled A to Z of Job Creation in Edo State from 2016 to 2020 was launched, the Edo Jobs Internship and Apprenticeship Scheme, Stream 4 with GIS, and Edo Jobs Leather Works Program for returnees and youth living with disabilities was also flagged up. Awards were also presented to interns under the Edo Job Scheme and persons who have been supportive and have contributed to the state's job creation. The fourth Allow Daro program continues this Thursday with the inauguration of Governor Gordon Obaseki and his deputy Fula Shaibu for a second term in office. In another development, the governor has announced the dissolution of his cabinet in accordance with the law. Meanwhile, the tennis court in the Samuel Bermuda Stadium, venue of the swearing-in ceremony.
Thank you so much, but that ended abruptly. So moving on, the newly elected chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria, Abubakar Suleiman, has assured of a holistic approach to end youth restiveness and provide opportunities for them to attain their full potentials through legislations and stockholding. The chairman made this known at a meeting with correspondents in Bauchi. Talatu Lamon reports.
Suleiman, who recently emerged as the chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria, noted the recent protests and vandalism by youths in some states and the increasing cases of rape and other forms of violence, said he will ensure all state legislatures enact laws to prohibit violence against persons and use their constitutional power to ensure security agencies are operating within the confines of the law so as to protect the rights of every citizen.
As in all the states of the Federation, this I will also make it a duty to see that all the state assemblies has passed it, because as representatives of the people, we are expected to at least protect the vulnerable members of the society.
Commending President Muhammadu Buhari for signing executive order which grants financial autonomy to state legislatures and the judiciary, the chairman noted that the struggle for the implementation of the provisions of the executive order will be collectively sustained. In Bauchi, Talatu Lamon, NTA News.
Correspondent on special assignment takes us through the other side of a river Benue, yet to be harnessed to boost food security even when it is not rainy season. That would be after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying. Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has chosen to expose financial editors and correspondents across the country to the opportunities and challenges following financial technology disruptions brought about by the advent of COVID-19. Abdullahi Mohammed reports that this was at the annual Finance Correspondent Association of Nigeria workshop, which took place in Kaduna.
By the pen lies their power and their specialty, keeping an eye on the financial system, divulging information critical for its sustenance. On the other hand, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, with a core mandate of protecting depositors' funds and stabilizing the financial system. Keeping this set of information managers abreast with imagined policy plans within the deposit insurance space, as well as the overall financial system, the NDIC bring them together periodically. They exchange ideas with erudite professionals, helping them to up their game.
You should continuously develop yourselves, improve on your knowledge and skills, so that you are up to date.
The paper presented actually has to do with the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, and especially on the banking system.
The essence of this is to build their capacity so that they will be able to report adequately, at least on banking and financial systems.
People will be more aware on the usage and various types of financial technology platforms and how best to safeguard their activities.
Within the next 3 days, a total of 7 papers will be presented to these information managers, and that means each one of them will go back to his or her bit with new ideas. Kendi Adeaga has been part of the 15 years journey of the workshop.
It's been very educative and helpful to participants.
And there are also new topics that come up, which we take time to interrogate.
The theme of the workshop was COVID-19 and fintech disruption, opportunities and challenges for banking system stability and deposit insurance. In Kaduna, Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, River Benue is one major source of livelihood to many states, especially in the eastern corridor, namely Benue, Taraba and Adamawa. However, its potential is yet to be fully tapped, considering the agricultural benefits that could be derived from the river if it is used for irrigation. Godwin Inalegu examines the need for River Benue to be used for irrigation to enhance food sufficiency and security in the country.
The appellation of Benue State as the food basket of the nation stems from the fact that it has a fertile vast of wetland that is suitable for the cultivation of almost all varieties of food crops. Presently, Benue State only depends on rain-fed agriculture to make its mark. River Benue, which passes through Adamawa Plateau of the northern Cameroon, is the major tributary of the Niger River, and it is approximately 1,400 kilometers long, and it's entirely navigable and available all year round. Hence, it is good for irrigation. Currently, only a small portion of the river bank is used for irrigation farming, mostly for the production of vegetables and grains such as spinach, okra, tomatoes, garden egg, maize, and rice.
When rain fall, first 2-3 days, we will find difficult to farm, and then they will see grass coming up. So we need herbicides to apply for the grass to go down.
Experts in agriculture advised government to take advantage of the River Benue and promote irrigation farming, support farmers with inputs and credit facilities for the sustainable growth and development of agriculture.
The potential is enormous because irrigation, when you are producing under irrigation purposes, not under irrigation, that is not the rain-fed type. You see, the production is going to be more appealing, it's going to attract more prices, and you can make more money.
Currently in the state, we depend solely on rain-fed agriculture. But with the presence of River Benue, we can now expand our production through irrigation farming, which means we can irrigate our farmlands in the dry season to double the production.
Apart from the cultivation of vegetables and grains, experts say other crops such as cassava, sweet potatoes and soya beans, as well as tree crops and cocoa can be produced within the Benue Trail. In Makudi, Godwin Inalegu, NTA News.
Consuming the carcass of birds after aerial spray has been identified as one of the leading causes of serious health hazards in both humans and animals. Experts at a one-day sensitization workshop organized by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, who dwelled extensively on measures to adopt before, during and after aerial spray control operations, said although the effects of the pesticides last for few days on surfaces but can be cancerous when consumed. Johanna Suhasambaro reports.
It has been one of the mandates of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to undergo pest control twice in a year to prevent the havoc caused by pests on farmlands, which pose serious impact on food production. Although the practice of aerial spray is highly effective, but it has its own consequences on human and animal health. To reduce the devastating effect of the chemicals on humans and their animals was the rationale behind the sensitization workshop to rural farmers on the dangers associated with the pesticides. Aisha Azaya is one of the participants who traveled more than 300 kilometers from Bauchi to acquire knowledge on aerial spray control operation measures.
So I don't know the effects of it, the damage it may cause to me. So I normally go. But now that I have learned of it, I will never do that. And I will extend the same message to my co-farmers.
Aisha said prior to the workshop, she is ignorant of the dangers associated with consuming carcass of birds after the spray.
A lot of things that farmers are not expected to do, like maybe some of the pests that might die, they find them. Those are things that you cannot really pick and just go and consume.
Some of our children normally pick the birds and have the taste of the birds, not knowing that chemical silently work in their bodies.
They should stay away for just a few days from the water. They should not use it. They should get their own drinking water from wells.
With this development, the workshop, which is trained the trainer, farmers like Aisha, who are eager to go back to their place of abode to disseminate the knowledge acquired, health havoc caused as a result of chemical contact will no doubt reduce to the barest minimum. In Kano, Johanna Sahasambaro, NTA News.
We take a breather at this point, and when we return, you would get to find out why NAPTIP has placed gender issue on the front burner. See you in a jiffy. Good to have you back. Do you know why air crashes occur and are investigated? Do you know why the reports of aircraft accidents or incidents are published? If you want to know, then pay attention to findings of investigation results recently released by the Accident Investigation Bureau. Emmanuel Ayemiro is our guide.
The purpose of aircraft investigation is to prevent future reoccurrence rather than apportioning blames. This, the Accident Investigation Bureau says, is a strong foundation which the safety of the aviation industry is built upon, which is why the timely release of such reports is as critical as accident investigation itself. This informed the release of 4 final air accident and serious incident reports, including 9 safety recommendations. The report include an accident involving a Tampico TB9 aircraft owned and operated by Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, which occurred at the Zaria Aerodrome on the 26th September 2018. Another is that involving a Boeing 737-282 aircraft owned and operated by Chajangi Airlines, which occurred at the Port Harcourt International Airport on 14th July 2008. The report on the accident involving a Beechcraft C-90 aircraft owned and operated by Shoreline Energy International, which occurred at Barakalahu Village near Old Cardinal Military Airport on 24th May 2011, as well as the report on the accident involving a Boeing 747-200 aircraft operated by Veteran Aviation Airlines, which occurred at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on 4th December 2013.
All we are advocating for is what lots of countries have done, separating the power to investigate from power to regulate. Because in some instances, it could be the regulator that is at fault. It could be the regulation that has missed out something.
Accident reporting has also been simplified by the AIB through a mobile application which has been introduced to interface with the public and make it easy for effective communication. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Providing a practical guide on the completion of assets declaration form and ensuring that public servants are conversant with the extant regulations relating to the Code of Conduct were the thrust of a two-day training workshop for Army officers in Lagos. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports that the event was organized by the Nigerian Army in collaboration with the Code of Conduct Bureau.
The training workshop for the officers and men of the Nigerian Army 81 Division underscored the relevance of assets declaration by public servants in Nigeria. It also formed the basis for enlightening, educating, and sensitizing the rank and file on the Code of Conduct for public officers and the dangers for non-compliance with the code.
This lecture now, once we put them through on their needs, once they have to know constitutional provision regarding asset declaration, it is expected of them to come asking for the form. If they refuse to come to declare their assets, there are steps to be taken. They can be charged. We have Code of Conduct Tribunal that handles that. All we need is just to file their name to them.
Surmounting the hurdle of conflict of interest in asset declaration, Director Reforms Coordinator and Service Improvement Code of Conduct Bureau, Zephaniah Bulus, called for transparency, probity, and accountability by the public servants, adding that it will help in the fight against corruption.
Encourage the men and officers of Nigerian Army to understand that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria requires that each and every officer declares his asset. This declaration will help control issues of abuse of office and conflict of interest in the discharge of their duties and responsibilities.
Awareness workshop by the Code of Conduct Bureau is expected to be taken to all military formations across the country. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
And about 95% of victims of trafficking rescued by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, are female. This formed the basis for specific attention to issues relating to gender in all NAPTIP's operations. Director General of the agency, Julie Okadonle, said this during the validation of its gender policy in Abuja. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday in this report looks at the scenario.
To ensure a society devoid of gender discrimination, the federal government in 2008 approved the National Gender Policy to promote full participation of women in decision-making and the elimination of violence against women. In its effort to eliminate gender discrimination, NAPTIP collaborated with UN Women to develop a gender policy that will guide and mainstream gender in all its operations.
Institutionalize gender in victim rescue, rehabilitation, protection, prosecution of offenders. To strengthen the Victims of Trafficking Trust Fund to address the needs of male and female victims.
UN Women is willing and ready to work in synergy with NAPTIC and other agencies, partners, and the government of Nigeria in achieving the desired objective of this policy.
NAPTIP Director General said, following her appointment as member, Board of Trustees, United Nations Victim of Trafficking Trust Fund, it will no longer be business as usual for some non-governmental organizations.
It's very strange that NGOs had been benefiting from this fund in Nigeria, but NAPTIP was not aware. Now I would monitor, such NGOs to be sure that the funds are used for the purposes for which they are given.
The policy will also focus on preventing forced migration of women and girls in Nigeria by building resilience that will promote sustainable development. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Our final break beckons, after which we take a peep at the world of sports. You're welcome. As Nigeria's Super Eagles continue to intensify training ahead of their clash with the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone on Friday in Benin City, Badi Adele brings us a preview of the match, which will be the 15th meeting between both teams.
Following victories over Benin Republic and Lesotho, Nigeria sits comfortably atop Group L with 6 points from 2 matches and could seal qualification for the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon by winning their next 2 matches, which will be home and away ties to Sierra Leone. But the Super Eagles need to take the first step against the Leon Stars on Friday in Benin City. Nigeria and Sierra Leone are no strangers to each other. Since their first meeting in 1961, both countries have faced off 13 more times, with the Super Eagles claiming 9 wins. Leon Stars winning only twice, while 3 draws have been recorded in their 14 meetings.
We know that Coach General is an expert when it comes to qualifiers. We are confident that he will get the maximum 3 points.
I know better than to underrate them, but I am optimistic that the Eagles will do a clinical job, against them.
The Super Eagles will be without the support of their fans for Friday's encounter, with the new normal occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic forcing the game to be played behind closed doors.
For some of them that have played in Europe, they've been playing behind closed doors. They've not been having fans, so I don't think it will really affect them. But I would have wanted the supporters club to be there.
President Muhammadu Buhari sends heartfelt condolences to government and people of the Republic of Mali over the passing of a former President Amadou Toumani Touré. The president commiserates with family of the departed Malian leader, whose 10-year reign in the country contributed to the strengthening of political institutions and measure of stability, starting with his presiding over a peaceful transition in the country as a military leader. President Buhari joins world leaders, particularly those from ECOWAS, in mourning the former president, whose wisdom and foresight also impacted greatly on the West Coast, as he always advocated dialogue over conflict and believed strongly in the African voice. And the Gazargamu Emirate has announced the demise of its longest-serving village head, Alhaji Lawan Kachalla. The late village head passed away on the 5th of November. He was aged 97. He is survived by 4 wives, 3 daughters, and 19 younger siblings, one of whom is the Emir of Gazargamu, Alhaji Tijani Ibn Sali. And let's check on the weather prospects for tomorrow, Thursday.
You're welcome. For Thursday, the extreme north and the central part of the country will be predominantly sunny, with some haziness across the region throughout the day. Moving down south, morning weather conditions over the inland cities of the south and the coastline is expected to be generally cloudy, with sunshine intervals except for parts of Port Harcourt and Yenagoa axis, where few thunderstorms are anticipated. The afternoon hours have better prospects for more thunderstorms activities over the stretch of the coastline to affect parts of Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Cross River states, while the north and the central region remains sunny and hazy throughout Thursday. And that's our bit from here. I'll see you again.
And with that, we end News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Remember to always stay safe. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Good night.